Then, everything went silent. I thought I had fallen asleep, but when I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in my body anymore. I was standing beside the bed, and I saw myself lying there. My chest was still. My eyes were closed. The nurses were rushing in, and one of them shouted for help, but I couldn't hear them clearly. Their voices sounded far away, as if they were underwater. That's when I realized I had died. The first thing I felt after leaving my body was lightness. It was like stepping out of a heavy coat I had worn all my life. There was no pain, no weight, and no fear. I was fully aware. In fact, more aware than ever. My thoughts were clear, and I could see and sense everything around me at once. I watched as the doctors tried to bring me back. I saw them press on my chest, call out my name, and adjust machines. But I didn't feel any of it. I wasn't in the body anymore. It was strange to see myself there, motionless. The body looked familiar, but it no longer felt like me. Then I noticed something, a presence. It wasn't a person I could see clearly, but I felt it. Gentle, patient, calm. It stood near me, almost as if waiting. And without words, I knew it was time to go. I didn't walk. I didn't move my legs. I simply began to drift upward, as if pulled by a quiet current that I couldn't resist. At first, I could still see the hospital room below me. The walls, the light, the people. Then slowly it began to fade. Not disappear, but blur, like something from a fading dream. What replaced it was something I don't have perfect words for. There was space, but not like earthly space. There was light, but not like sunlight. The light wasn't shining from somewhere. It was everywhere. It felt alive. I could feel it touch me, move through me. And yet it didn't burn. In that light, I became aware of everything. I could sense peace and truth around me. I knew I was still me, but without the limits of flesh. Every sound, every feeling, every thought was open and clear. Then I realized I wasn't alone. There were others nearby, not in human form, but present. Their presence was gentle, almost familiar. They were not speaking, but I could understand them. They were welcoming me, not with words, but with a knowing that filled me with peace. In that place, understanding came instantly. I didn't have to think or ask. I simply knew. I understood that I had crossed into a spiritual reality, one that had always existed, but I had never seen before. Time didn't feel the same there. Everything happened at once, yet nothing felt rushed. I could sense what felt like hours passing, but it was probably only moments. I began to see scenes not as memories but as living truths. I understood things about myself, my choices, and the love and mercy of God in ways I never could while alive. There was no need to question. Every answer was in the air around me. It was like being surrounded by truth, not as an idea, but as a presence that existed in every direction. Then the light grew stronger. It was brighter than anything I could ever describe, but not harsh or painful. It felt holy. The closer I was drawn to it, the more my soul trembled, not from fear, but from awe. In that light was a presence. It wasn't a shape or a person, but I knew without a doubt, it was the Lord. Every part of my being recognized him. His presence carried love, justice, mercy, and power all at once. I didn't need to speak. He already knew me completely. Every thought, every feeling, every motive I had ever held, all of it was open before him. I felt small, yet not unwanted. Exposed, yet deeply loved. There was no hiding, no pretending. I saw myself as I truly was, not through shame, but through truth. That moment changed everything in me. It was as if I was being measured not by deeds alone, but by the heart behind them. Every selfish act, every kind word, every time I turned toward or away from what was right, it was all clear. But what amazed me most was his love. Even in truth, his love remained. What came next wasn't a punishment or a trial. It was a revealing. My life wasn't shown in scenes or flashes, but in feelings and understanding. I felt the weight of every choice. I saw how one word could build or break someone's heart. I saw how every act of kindness, even the smallest, carried light that never faded. I saw how pride and bitterness created distance, not just between people, but between me and the light itself. The truth was clear and perfect. There were no excuses. But even in that clarity, I felt mercy. Mercy was not an idea. It was like a covering, gentle and warm, that surrounded truth. The presence didn't condemn me. It simply let me see. And in seeing, I understood what holiness really means. Perfection not of appearance, but of love and purity. Then I became aware of a place, a boundary. I can't describe it in earthly terms. It wasn't a gate or a line, but I knew it was the edge of eternity. Beyond it was peace so deep, so pure, that I could barely breathe in its presence. But I also sensed that not everyone crosses that boundary easily. Only those made pure by truth and grace can enter. I understood that nothing unclean, nothing false, can stand in that presence. It wasn't fear that held me back, but understanding. I knew my time wasn't yet complete. My journey hadn't finished. I had been allowed to come close, to see, to feel, but not to stay. The boundary shimmered like living light. It pulsed with the heartbeat of eternity. It wasn't closed to me out of rejection, but out of purpose. I knew somehow that I would have to return to the world below, and the thought filled me with both sadness and gratitude. Before returning, I was given something, peace. It wasn't spoken, but placed within me. It flowed through my being like warm water. It washed away fear, regret, pain, and confusion. It filled every empty space inside me until all I could feel was love. This peace wasn't emotional comfort. It was reality itself, the very air of heaven. It was the awareness of being fully known, fully loved, and fully safe. I knew that this peace didn't depend on circumstances or feelings. It came from God Himself, and it was eternal. In that peace, I understood that life and death are not opposites. They are connected, one flowing into the other. The soul never stops. It only passes through a door. Then in an instant I knew I couldn't stay. There were no words spoken, but understanding filled me. The presence was not rejecting me. He was sending me back. My time on earth wasn't over, and there was something I still had to do. I didn't want to leave. Every part of me wanted to remain in that peace, that love, that light. But obedience came naturally there. I couldn't argue. I could only surrender. I felt myself begin to fall, not fast, but gently, as though descending through layers of air. The light faded and darkness returned, not the darkness of fear, but of the physical world. I saw the hospital room again. I saw my body on the bed. Then suddenly I gasped. Breath filled my lungs. Pain returned. I opened my eyes. I was back. Even after I awoke, the sense of what I had experienced didn't leave me. It surrounded me like a fragrance that wouldn't fade. My soul could still feel the presence of that light. For the next several hours, I couldn't speak much. I didn't feel the same. The world seemed smaller, slower, heavier. Every sound and movement felt distant. But inside, there was still peace, the kind I can't describe with words. I understood then what the soul feels after death: clarity, truth, peace, and the reality of eternity. I realized that death is not an end, but a crossing. The soul does not drift into nothing. It awakens into what is most real. In those first 24 hours after leaving my body, I learned that everything we do carries meaning far beyond what we see. Every act of love carries eternal weight. Every moment of bitterness builds distance from light. The soul feels the full truth of those things once it leaves the body. I also learned that God's love is not distant or cold. It is holy and consuming, not because He wants to destroy us, but because He wants to make us whole. The soul feels awe, reverence, and complete understanding in His presence. There is no confusion there, no guessing, no pretending. Only truth and love, and both exist perfectly together. Even now, when I think back to that moment, I know the most real thing in existence isn't the body, or time, or the world. It's Him, the presence, the one who is love itself. And though I returned, my soul will never forget the first 24 hours after death. It was the day I learned that life never truly ends. It simply changes form. The body falls asleep, but the soul awakens fully. That first day, I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel pain. I felt truth, I felt light, and I felt peace. So when people ask me what the soul feels after death, I tell them this. It feels everything: truth, love, peace, and the weight of eternity, all at once. It knows it was made for more. It knows where home really is.